Welcome to Danja Digital. I am Dana. I am your resident chief storyteller, and I'm an editor and writer. And today, for this digital newsletter, I am going to address mainly a question that was submitted by one of you, which is, how do you take characterization to the next level? So on the inside of this newsletter, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all why I have been on the struggle bus, why it was so important for me to answer this question, and all of it's going to happen after the introduction. So if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, thumbs up this video, and if you're going to stick around, I will see you in a bit. But if not, I hope to see you sooner than later. For everyone else, let's talk about characterization and why your girl is under the bus. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, welcome to Danja Digital. I am Dana Pittman with Danja Tells. I am a USA Today bestselling author. I am a developmental editor, and I am a story nerd. And today I am a plotter that is like wondering, after you've done this masterful plot, who's supposed to write this story? And it made me think about this question. This question has been running in my mind. We've been out. I haven't done a newsletter in a couple of weeks because of the holidays. And honestly, I've been on the struggle bus because I kept wondering. There are so many people on YouTube talking about story and story development. And I feel as though this is so general. It's so hard to get into a story and get into the nitty-gritty when you don't have your specific example available. And I have to just sit in faith that there are nuggets of things that can hit a place in you and help you to get unstuck. Or if you are stuck, that you will go to my site at Danja Tells and book a session with me. So that we can talk about your work specifically. I also, that helped me crawl from under this bus, is knowing that there are different things that touch different people in different ways. And we are all trying to contribute tools and insight to help your journey be just a little bit better. You know, not a lot, just a little bit. So with that said, starting off with an announcement, we've had so many releases, but I didn't get specific emails with details. So yeah, I'm not going to become an Amazon right now because I have been under so many deadlines. But I do want to say congratulations to all of the people that have released since our last newsletter, because I know there has been like 3 or 4 books that have been released from clients. And so I'm just always excited about people continuing to do the work, especially with the year that we've had. 2020 will go in the books as probably the craziest year ever, but it also shows how resilient we can be as people. And so yeah, congratulations. With that said, let's go ahead and get to this question. Oh, before I get to the question, don't forget to submit your questions. I always have a link to the show notes in the description box, and you can submit your questions. And if I can't answer it, y'all know I won't. And if I can, you know I will. I am also in the process of working on a presentation that I'm giving for a group of people that are, we are in a guild together. We're in the Story Grid Guild. And there's a small offset of us that are getting together. And I'm going to be talking about the tools and the technology that I use in my writing process. And so if that's something that interests you, or that you would like to be a part of, not with my guild, but just in another session, let me know that as well, because it's becoming more and more apparent as I test different tools, as like right now I'm testing Trello and Evernote and all these different things to make the writing process a little more seamless and portable, and as always, fun. So today's question: how do you take characterization to the next level? In other words, if I have created an okay character, what can I focus on to make people really deeply care about my character? Thank you for submitting that question. I had to think about this one, and not because as a writer you're not always trying to make characters that people can relate to, because they stick around because they relate and you tell a great story. But a lot of people, it's the characters that do that for you. And so as I thought about it, I had to really think about, like, what are the general things that we look for? And the first thing that kept coming back to mind was to have very solid examples of characters that stand out in your mind. For me, with romance, like, there are some that I don't care what I write, what I read, they always come back to me, even if I don't remember their names. And I'm going to tell you a few for me in the romance genre. Mr. Darcy. I'm sorry. The depiction of him in the form, in Pride and Prejudice, that was probably one of the more recent ones with Carrie. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in because I don't know. I just know that there is something that I didn't see the other versions, but in that version of Mr. Darcy, for me, that it just made such a strong impact on me as far as writing a male character, and especially for someone like me who writes in both third person and first person, and the getting that right is always so important to me. And so whether it's his angst, the fact that he says a lot while not saying a lot, the fact that he was so strong in his convictions, and the strength of his convictions were showed in his relationships, in his actions, right? Another character for me is from a Eliza historical romance. I always forget, I don't know how to say her name, and I'm gonna learn, because she's one of those ones that I read all the time. I just pick it up and I read it. It is hands down one of my favorite historical romances, because this, to me, he is the antithesis of a bad boy hero in a romance. It's like, and she breaks that man all the way down, and he is still bad, but he is so good, right? and to me, that character is not so much about actions, but about the feel of him as a character, and how he moves through the world and what motivates him. Another character for me comes from Indigo by Beverly Jenkins, and it's the Black Daniel. And in that character, it has always been this thing of a very strong Black male lead that is not only finding love but doing good things in the world. And for me, that is always so powerful. Just those things, like, and then you add on the fact that she just writes him like, oh, sometimes there are no words to describe what that thing is that can be characterized as characterization. However, for you should have some sort of bundle. I don't know what else to call it. A bundle of characters that you pull from. And then once you pull from those characters, ask yourself, why? Why is it that I'm drawn to that character? What is it that makes that character come to mind, that made them so good or made them so bad, or just make them stand out in my mind? Once you have those answers, then look at the way either the author or the storyteller or the movie helped you to come to those conclusions. I'm always remembering in that the movie that I can't call which one it is, seeing Mr. Darcy walking across that field, his coat flapping in the wind, strong, sturdy steps, eyes forward, strong, going for his woman. Like, you can't. I'm not a director. They may have just wrote it in parentheses. I don't know, and I don't care. That scene is everything. And once you start thinking about those things and thinking about the stories, and then start pinpointing what were the things that the writer did, the actor did, to make that happen for you as a consumer of the book or the movie, then you start having this list or this arsenal of ways to make your characters go deep. Now, one of the things that I see a lot in plotting books and storytelling books, people say, well, give them a flaw, or give them an ism, or give them a tick, or give them a... And I always feel like that's sound advice, but it's hard. Like, how many people can you have that twiddle their thumbs, or I don't know. I don't know what people pick. But I feel as though the heart of that advice lies in this thing of characterization, right? That you're trying to find the things that make your character different. How do you do that after you have this arsenal of these little tidbits that make you excited as a consumer or excited as a writer? I think the way that you begin to find that and distill it down to this current story is by knowing your character. And again, this is where I think plotting can help you, because when you know your character, all of our isms are an overflow of our life, of the stories that we've told ourselves, of our hardships, of our emotions, of all the things that make us, right? And that. So once you start digging into that a little bit, it doesn't take forever. And sometimes it does. And I say, give it the time that it takes. But dig into that character. And once you start seeing, oh, wow. Let me give an example. In the short story where I wanted to play with how dark I wanted to go into the romance spectrum, I didn't want to go into dark romance all the way, but I wanted to see how far I could take it in a sense of being on the edge of romantic suspense, darkism in there. And the story was You Owe Me. What gave the main character, I'm going to look up his name because I have so many characters. I would lie to you right now, and I don't want to do that. Marco, what made him was his life in the foster care system, and a woman who was once his foster mother being solid in his life, being this ever-present source of love, even when he was removed from her home. And it gave him a sense of loyalty to a family that he has no blood relation to. And that, right, that thing, even hearing that or even saying that, my heart goes, oh, right, if you do that, you're in the right direction. You're moving in the right direction. So a lot of times you've got to give your characters more depth than just on the page, like beyond the just actions. You gotta say, what makes this person human and would make me care enough to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours reading this book. And honestly, I mean, you could have that in a strategy session, so you could always book a book chat with me, but you also get that from knowing your characters. In closing, when it comes to your question of how do you build this characterization, how do you create characters that your readers will love deeply, and some will hate them deeply, and sometimes you want that. You don't want them kind of like, yeah, and you're gonna get that. Every character in every story is not for everyone, but the way that you do that is, number one, have a arsenal or a this thing of characters. And it may be that you start examining your favorite books, your favorite movies, that those characters, that every time you think of a character, you think of these characters. Get them in your mind. Find out what it is about those characters that endear you to them, and what are some ways that you can use some of those elements to give your character more life and more depth and more that make them relatable. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to figure out, what are the things about your character that make them them. So that may come in a sense of backstory. That will come in the sense of experiences that they've had. And when I'm working with clients one-on-one, there are things that we kind of go through that I know are just staples, that you just, if you know of these few things, it'll get you down that trail. And for people that are exploratory writers, doing things like doing journal entries and doing writing about certain instances or pivotal moments in their life will help you to uncover those isms about your character. And lastly, you have to do the work. Great characters are kind of just like really great plots. Like the person and the imagery of them may drop in your lap, but for them to see their full potential, you got to roll up your sleeves and dig in. And honestly, that's the thing that I like. I like that part, because when you get that part right, you can get a whole lot of things wrong or a little shaky, but people will still ride with you for the journey. And I hope that I have answered your question about how to develop and have characters that your readers will love. If you have additional questions or more specific questions, visit me at danjatales.com to submit your questions. The question form is linked in the show notes, which is available in the description box, and I look forward to hearing more of your questions. I am not going to tell you what question we're going to do in the next episode because I'm not sure yet. I've been kicking around some things that I want to talk about, but I would like to explore more of what I want to do with this digital newsletter. And so in closing, I will say this. I've been thinking about a project of whether I want to share me going through the outlining process and story development process and tracking that here. And I really would like to know if that's something that you all will be interested in. We're closing out at the end of the year of 2020, and I think I have planned one more episode before I take a little break and then come back at the top of the year. So maybe if you all will think about it and message me or comment if you would like to see that. And I've seen Chris Fox do it once before, or no, twice, and I loved it, and it was so helpful for me. And to me, I feel as though it would help me with the thing of that this has to be so vague because I'm not talking to a specific person. And you can see me actually go through the process. It's not always clean and it's not always easy. And that's what makes me so nervous, because even now I'm working on a story where it's just like, that I did this to myself. But it's why we love writing, right? So let me know in the comment section if you would like to go on that journey with me at the beginning of the year, from plotting to writing to editing and publishing a book. I am out. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know in the comment section or visit me online at danjatels.com. Don't forget to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell thing so that you get notifications every time I upload a video. And one final thing, because 3 times the charm, please join my newsletter. You'll also see that all in the same place. I got you. You don't have to do a lot of clicking around, but you subscribing, it ensures that you get any of the information that I have coming up, and it also will help me in the coming year to see how I want to evolve this digital newsletter, how I want to evolve my editing practice in helping storytellers tell great stories. I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next edition of Danja Digital. Take care and goodbye.